Hi everyone, my name is Shanika Nichols. Today my presentation is about food and culture and how food connects different culture. Instead of looking at the differences in culture, today I'm going to look at something we all have in common: food. Food plays a very important role in our daily lives. Food is a symbol of culture, tradition, and religious significance. Cultures are connected and distinguished by food, and it is one of the most persistent cultural traditions. Almost every culture have at least one specific food that reminds them of a tradition within their culture. First, let's look at the Caribbean. Food plays a very important role in many family tradition and Caribbean culture. During holidays and other special events, it is not uncommon for people to spend many days preparing food. Some popular dishes in the Caribbean are like fried plantains, rice and beans made with coconut milk, anything jerk, anything curry, with a combination of herbs and spices. Caribbean dishes are a combination of indigenous European, American, Chinese, and African influenced dishes. Different food can be found in different areas of the Caribbean, like curry goat and curry chicken are popular foods found throughout the English influenced areas of the Caribbean. Rice is a very popular food found throughout the Caribbean, and each island has its own unique way of preparing rice. On some islands, rice is simply seasoned or served with coconut milk, and most places you go to eat in the Caribbean, they will serve rice as a side dish. Now let's take a look at Africa. African dishes plays a major role in a lot of other cultures, including the Caribbean and the United States of America. Cookery methods rather than basic foods are what distinguish regional and ethnic dishes in Africa. Food may be cooked over open fires or in pits heated with stones. Either of these methods may be used indoors or outdoors. In a lot of places in Africa, utensils are rarely used. Even in the urban areas, the family evening meal will likely be a traditional fufu, eaten the traditional way using the fingers. The traditional fufu is made using any form of starch and is served with a condiment sauce. From Africa, we then move on to the United States. The United States is a nation of immigrants, and each ethnic groups bring its own custom, festival, and food tradition to the United States. The US have a lot of traditional foods, even though visitors to the US may think that the country's staple foods are hot dogs, hamburgers, and french fries. These foods are branded to the US because of the first generation of European immigrants who had little time for the whole world tradition. They were too busy making a living, creating homes, and raising their family. Food was whatever was available and affordable to fill an empty stomach. The Indian culture was one of the first culture to influence American dishes. It was from the Indians that the earliest pioneers learned how to prepare dishes such as turkey, wild rice, pumpkin, and squash. Even though the Indians had a big influence on American cooking, the most powerful influence came to America through the Atlantic slave trade from West African countries. The West African slaves introduced many flavorful, healthy varieties of greens to the European diet. They added grilled meats, wrapped food in cabbage leaves, and turned many of their own classic dishes like rice and black-eyed peas into Southern tradition. Basic methods of frying, stewing, and preparing sauce were all enhanced. Now let's take a look at Mexico and see which other cultures their food is connected to. Just like the United States, Mexican dishes were first influenced by Indian cuisine, but was later mixed with Spanish cooking after Hernando Cortes came to Mexico from Spain. He was believed to be a former god returned to life, so Cortes was able to conquer the land with little resistance. In return for all the Mexican food which the Spaniards introduced to Europe, they left behind in Mexico much of their influence: the Spanish language, the Roman Catholic religion, as well as the Spanish food. Rice and wheat, oil and wine, olive, cloves, peach, and the breeding of cattle, which added beef, butter, and cheese to the Indian cuisine. All were widely accepted and embedded themselves deeply into the Mexican culture. Contrary to the belief, all Mexican food is not spicy hot, but they do have a variety of dishes that contain seasonings and chilies which indeed are spicy. Despite the powerful influence of Spanish cuisine, the Mexican kitchen is still filled with the aromas of food and dishes based on the Indian cuisine. Staples of beans, tomatoes, many varieties of chilies, and most especially corn in all forms are still used in the Mexican kitchens today. Despite our differences, we all have intercultural similarities and are somewhat connected by food one way or the other. We may have different languages or way of life, but we all eat something in common. Even though most of these dishes are prepared differently, its preparation is connected to another culture. With adequate research and proof from history, it can be concluded that every culture adopts some food and way of preparing it from another culture.